Welcome back to Dry Hollow Homestead. It's Danielle, and I'm bringing you along with me on a little bit of real life. Making cheese, milking the cow, early morning stuff. It's not that early, but we've got someone who just learned how to squeal, having breakfast. Some kids are doing their schoolwork already. So I have lots of milk in my fridge. Let me set you down so I can talk. I have been milking twice a day, my milk cow. The calf is off. She's 9 months, so she didn't even need to be on there, but we used her as an insurance policy for us while we were on vacation. We came back and I've been milking twice a day. So I have almost made cheese every day, or at least every other day for the past like two weeks. So in the past, since May 29th, I don't know when I'll get this out to you, I have made a cheddar, a Derby, 2 Darbys, 1 Leicester, and 3 Goudas. So today I'm going to bring you along. I'm sorry, that's really loud. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to bring you along as I make another cheese. This is going to... It's probably going to be a like. Hey. Our milk has got up to 85 degrees, and I've turned that burner off. Now I'm going to add the culture. For this Leicester, you need a mesophilic culture. I'm going to use the MA11 backsplash whey from a cheese I made yesterday. So backsplash whey is taking the whey before you wash it or anything, because I made a Gouda. The first time I took off some of the whey, I saved that, put it in the fridge. So this is very fresh whey from yesterday's cheese that I added culture from New England cheese making, the MA11. You can also use the MA4002. I have done that. I am going to, for the 6.5 gallons, I'm going to put, and this still smells really buttery and fresh. It smells like it makes your mouth water. It smells delicious. So this tells me that this culture is still very active. I'm going to put about 3/4 of a cup for this 6.5 gallons. Last time I put a cup in, and that seemed to work, but I'm playing around with it a little bit. I'm pretty sure I can use 3/4 a gallon, 3/4 a cup, because that's what I've used for my other mesophilic cultured cheeses with just the simple meso packets. So then we're going to stir this in. We're going to do it in an up-down fashion to incorporate from the top all the way to the bottom. I had to move my huge vat of milk from one burner to the other because this burner has quit on me. I pressure canned last night on it. I made cheese the day before on it, and now it doesn't want, when there's any weight on top of it, it doesn't want to work. And this has a lot of weight. So I'm making do with what we have, which is something that I think every homesteader has to learn to do, because I'm on a teeny tiny burner and on the back. But let this ripen with the culture for 45 minutes with no heat on whatsoever. Set a timer for 45 minutes, keeping it at that 85 degrees by keeping the lid on it, letting this just sit right here by itself for 45 minutes. And I am setting a timer because there's a lot to do around here and I will forget. It has been 45 minutes. This is ripened. Now we're going to add our culture. We need 1/4 cup of water that has no chlorine in it, and then animal rennet is what I use. You can use vegetable rennet. I have never. This is kind of dependent on the cheese, the milk that you have. Raw milk doesn't take as much rennet, and you do not want to use more rennet than you need because you will have bitter cheese. I made a mistake because I had rennet that was expired and I was using more rennet, and that messed my cheeses up. So lesson learned, go with a little less if you can. So for this 6.5 gallons, I'm going to do 3/4 a teaspoon of rennet in this 1/4 cup of water. So now it's diluted. We're going to pour this on the surface of our milk. You can see in my raw milk, this cream has risen to the top. And then we're going to stir it in.
It's really hot. If I turn to the side where there are no rents.
We're going to put it up, down through my milk. Now, one of the books that I have says to stir for an extra minute. 1 minute if you have pasteurized milk, homogenized pasteurized milk. If you do not have pasteurized homogenized milk, that cream has come up to the top like mine has, you need to give it 1 extra minute of stirring up, down like this, just to get that all the way through your milk. So now we are going to let this coagulate for 45 minutes. So it was 45 minutes to ripen, and then it's going to be another 45 minutes to coagulate, to get to a large mass. Let that rennet work. And we're also going to put the lid on this just like we did before, because we want this temperature to try to stay at 85 degrees like when we had turned off the heat to begin with, as much as we can. So set another timer for 45 minutes. It has been 45 minutes. So we need to see if we get a clean break from this coagulation. If not, you just give it more time, about 10 to 15 more minutes. So I have a curd knife. You can do this with any knife, or it doesn't even have to be sharp, it just needs to be clear. I'm going to put a little mark down through and then pick it up the opposite way. And it's a pretty clean cut. So that means I'm going to go ahead and cut my curds. Let me refer back to my book. This needs to be cut into 1/4 inch cubes, which is not easy to do. There is such a thing as a curd harp that I have seen online, and it is like a ladder with lines, or I guess it's like fishing line or something across the inside, so that you can stick it down in and twirl it in a circle, and it will cut the the horizontal lines. We cannot do that very well in a cheese pot. All right, let's let them heal for 5 minutes. Okay, we have let these heal for a minute, 5 minutes actually. We are going to set a timer for 25 minutes. We want to raise the temperature 10 degrees up to 95 over the course of 25 minutes. You want to raise the temperature 2 degrees each 5 minutes. So that's how I figured out 25 minutes to get it up 10 degrees. I have my handy dandy thermometer. What are we at right now before we get started? 85. So we kept it right on our temperature. So we need it up to 95 over 25 minutes, stirring very gently. And then when we get to 95, we'll turn the heat back off and we will stir for another 30 minutes. I'll show you what it looks like when we get to that stage, right below medium heat. And then I'm going to start stirring. I have a stool because this is going to take a while, and I will start very gently. And this is very awkward because this is the other side of my stove that I don't have my stuff on, but we're going to make do. So I'll see you back in 25 minutes. Our temperature now is 95 degrees. It took us exactly 25 minutes to get there, and now we're going to, I pulled the pot off the burner, turned the burner off, and I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. And this stirring is done without heat, so we're going to stir for 30 minutes without heat, making sure not to let it clump up. It's better to do this with your hand, but I've been running back and forth prepping some food for later and things, so my hands I don't feel like are quite clean enough between the things I'm going back and forth to that I want to stick them in my pot. So I'm going to just use my spoon. So we're going to do this for 30 minutes. It has been 30 minutes of stirring without the heat. This is about the size of our curds. Little beans, probably navy beans, about that size. So at this point we're going to let them settle. I usually do that for about 5 minutes. So this is how I do my traditional cheddar, and this is how I'm going to do these cheddars too. I'm going to get all the curds out and put them in my colander that can fit over my pot, and then I'm going to leave about 2 to 3 inches of whey at the bottom, warm whey. I might even turn it on, the burner on, while I do this, because I want the curds to stay at 95 degrees, and I will stick my thermometer in and make sure. And then I will do the cheddaring there, and then we will take them off and we will mill them, and I'll show you that. So this is always tricky for me. I pour, so we have to let it set for 5 minutes, and then I pour a lot of the way off, and then I scoop out with my cheese scoop. Let me show you that. All the curds that I can get to, and then put it in my colander, and then I will bring you back when I've got that. It's always kind of a mess to try to do, so I'm not going to show you, but have fun, okay? So I have several inches of whey at the bottom, the warm whey that I actually have up on about low medium heat, just to keep that warm. And then I have my curds in this colander on top. I'm going to put a lid on it. I'm going to set a timer, and come back in 20 minutes. And we're going to flip this curd mass. I'm going to keep a thermometer in it to try to make sure that my curds are staying nice and warm. We want to be at 95 degrees. You can see I'm not there anymore, so it's good that I have the steam coming up, and I will make sure that that gets up there. Ow, I have a baby pulling my hair. No, Daniel. So 20 minutes of it sitting like this, and then we will come and flip it. We are going to kind of steam each side of them. The curd cheddaring process is having like different sections stacked up on top of each other, unassembled after 15 to 20 minutes, and then reassembled in a different order, and flipped. This is my version of that. There are lots of other people that do it differently. This is just the simplest way I could come up with. So this is how I'm doing it. I'm showing you that, but you're welcome to the directions in our book. It's nothing like that at all. But this works. So 20 minutes, and then we'll come back. Our first 20 minutes is over. You can see that our curd mass has definitely shrunk down quite a bit. I'm going to take this whole curd mass and just flip it. Just like that. Check our temp. We are still like at 93 degrees, not quite 95. So keeping that, and put the lid back on. Keep that way underneath pretty warm. Trying to bring that temperature back up a little bit more. 20 minutes on this side. Another 20 minutes is over. At this point, we are going to cut the curds into four quart curds. I'm going to go straight down the middle in half, and then half on the other side into fourths. And then I am going to flip these curds to face down. So one of the cut sides that we just cut open down. Okay, so we'll put the lid back on here. We're going to give this another 20 minutes like this, and then we will do our last flip and 20 minutes like that. Okay, so our last flip is just honestly the opposite side. There we go. 20 more minutes on this side, and then we are finished with this process, and we will start milling our curds. So we're at the end of our cheddaring process. We are going to go ahead and mill our curds. So I pulled them out of our colander, and I'm tearing them into nickel-sized pieces for this Leicester. We're going to do that with all of this. Some people actually don't do this; they cut them, which I can understand why it takes a little bit of time to rip them. And then we will mill in the actual salt. So we're going to stir in a gallon for each gallon, 1 tablespoon of salt per gallon of milk that you use to make your cheese. So I have 6.5. I'll use 6.5 tablespoons. This is the salt I've been using just because it's a little bit cheaper, and it was recommended in one of the books I was reading. So that's what I'm doing. And I will bring you back when I have accomplished this. I don't know what a nickel looks like. Pretty close, maybe. Just keep going. Once we have them in nickel size pieces, Lord have mercy, that took forever. You're supposed to stir for a few minutes. I feel like it takes me a really long time, so I'm not sure that I am going to for very long. And if I see any big pieces that I didn't break down enough, I will do that. You can also put some annatto in this and make it a red Leicester. You can do red food dye. I've always assumed that the annatto was not a good ingredient to add. It's not like red dye number 40. It's actually it comes from a plant, so it is not a toxic thing to add. So one day I might. I just currently don't want to stock something else in my kitchen for cheese making. And now we have a baby. Baby's on the back. There's a fly. So we're going to put 6.5 teaspoons of salt, tablespoons. Okay. And then we're going to stir it again for several minutes is what it says. I also have on boil my kettle just to sanitize my cheesecloth. This is going to need to press pretty hard because as we're stirring this, it is cooling the temperature down. This is milling the curds, by the way. So I'm going to now pour my kettle boiling water on my press and cheesecloth and start loading up my mold. This is the way that I sanitize. A lot of people use vinegar water. I've done that too. And sometimes I still do that if my cheesecloth seems a little stinky, which happens sometimes. Here is our cheesecloth. This is actually flour sack, but I have since started using the butter muslin, and I don't have any of those clean. I only had 2 of them, and I have been very steadily making lots and lots of cheeses lately. So I do not have any of those to spare right now. I've been hand washing them too, so that I could get them in use more often. So this is how I have it rigged up for my press. It says 15 pounds of pressure for 30 minutes. I am going to just get it as tight as I can. And as long as I'm seeing whey come out, I know I'm pressing pretty good. This kind of cheese is really takes quite a bit of pressure. And since I have the smallest amount of capacity for this, I have a 6-gallon wheel, and this holds up to 8, probably a little bit more actually. I need to press it pretty dang hard. So I'm going to come back and we'll flip it and see how it's going. It says 30 minutes in the book, but it's really going to be whenever I get to it. Now I'm going to clean up my kitchen, and guess what? It's time to start evening chores and get dinner on the table. So this is definitely not my fastest cheese. If I am in a hurry, I like to do a Gouda. A Gouda is, you don't have a ripening time between adding your culture before you put in your rennet, so it really cuts back on the time. You do it all at one time, and then set. It's not quite as long, so, but that's fine. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be delicious, and we will come back in a little bit. I'll tell you how long. It really doesn't matter. You just want to be flipping it once or twice in the evening and then letting it set for like 8 hours once you have it pretty tightly knit and flipped it a few times. And we're just expelling some of this whey out. And whey can be very bitter, so we want to do a good job of it. If we push too much at the beginning, we can actually trap whey down in. So that's why there's usually a gradual pressure and then a flip and then a harder pressure. But I think this looks pretty good for me. I will see you back in a little bit. I am back in from milking. It's been several hours, but as I've walked by, I have went ahead and tightened this down a little bit more every, half hour or something. So let's check on our progress. Maybe taking out the spoon would help. Okay, I've got some work to do. Oh my, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm actually going to get my older press because I don't feel like that's giving enough pressure. So I'm going to very carefully put this over because it is not knit together very well at all. And I'm going to put it in this tomate mold that I think will fit it a little better. Yeah, I think that's what was wrong. It's a little too small of a container. We're going to try pressing this a lot harder with this other mold. Let's see if that helps. I'm going to, if this had molded or pressed together pretty good, I would have been done for the night. I just flip it and then press it overnight, but I'm going to check on it again tonight before we go to bed and see how it's looking. Our cheese has been in the press overnight on firm pressure. Let us see if we had enough pressure. So this pressed really well. If you, maybe I can get you a little closer. It smells great. I'm really enjoying using these new cultures that I've picked up from New England cheesemaking. They just seem to have a lot more smell and aroma and flavor to them. I don't know, I haven't eaten any that has aged all the way yet, but this looks perfect. So I'm going to air dry it for just until the outside gets to about clammy handshake is what they call it. Clammy handshake on the outside. You want to get a little bit of a rind on the outside. I have been vacuum sealing most of my cheeses still because my cellar, we're now in June, and my cellar is 70 degrees. I just checked again last night. It doesn't seem possible. I would love to age things in the cellar, but I can't do it all year. Can you say hi? Say hi. Hi. Say hello. So I have to age things. I really need to, I want to get, hi, yes, yes, a wine fridge, but right now I don't, yeah, birdies. I don't have that right now, so I'm going to let this air dry. We will vacuum seal it, age it in the fridge. Now cheddar, this is a cheddar, cheddar type. It's a Leicester. This can be eaten whenever. Like you could eat this within the first couple days as a green cheese. You could have eaten the curds, or like we said, I think I say this every time I make a cheddar, or anytime. You can make it sharp cheddar by leaving it in for about 2 years. But good luck doing that. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So yes, I'm going to air dry this for 2 or 3 days. I'll see you back here, and then we'll vacuum seal and age. Now, the aging part is where it's kind of unique to you, but it can be done exactly the way I do it. Vacuum sealed and in a fridge. It's not ideal, but nothing in life is ideal. And if you wait to get the ideal situation to start making your cheeses, you will have lost out on a lot of time. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been making pretty good cheeses. So really good cheeses sometimes. Not perfect, that's for sure. So that's what we're gonna do. I will bring you back when this is air dry. So after about 2 days, I go ahead and vacuum seal this wheel of cheese, this Leicester. And the book that I got some of the direction from for this Leicester, I will link in the description box, but it says that they suggest you eat it at either 12 to 16 weeks, so 3 to 4 months of it aging. And cheese, usually the best ideal circumstance would be about 55 degrees Fahrenheit to age cheese, and for humidity of about 80%. And that you can also wax your cheeses if you feel so inclined, if that's something you want to go and do. I have never waxed a cheese, so I'm not really a reference for that, but you can do that too and age with the 55 degrees, or a cellar if you have something that has that, or a wine fridge. But this beautiful color is just my Jersey milk. I have since bought a natto and stocked it in my kitchen, and I have yet to use it, but maybe one day I'll make something that has a little bit of color to it, now that I know it's not red dye number 40 or anything. It's just a plant-based. So we are going to age this in my fridge for several months, and next time I do a cheese tasting, I will definitely be bringing you along to taste this cheese with me. So I'm hoping that my videos give you some encouragement. God bless.